welcome to the battlefield. And I'm not using that word lightly.
No.
I'm not talking about the racetrack. We aren't even there yet. I'm talking about psychological warfare, the smoke and mirrors, and just the absolute chaos of launch season.
It's pure chaos.
Because, let's be real, the 2026 era of Formula One isn't coming. It is here, and the lying has already begun.
It really has. We are staring down the barrel of the single biggest regulation change in the sport's history, and what we're seeing right now is this volatile mix of panic, engineering genius, and just straight-up deception. It's ugly, it's messy, and it's absolutely fascinating.
Exactly. The launches are fake, the renders are lies, but the track doesn't forgive. And today we are cutting through all that PR noise to expose the brutal reality of these new regulations.
We have to.
We're going to talk about Alpine's insults to our intelligence, a potential nuclear engine trick from Mercedes and Red Bull that...
Well, it exploits a loophole in physics itself.
It's incredible if it's true.
And the absolute catastrophic failure unfolding at Williams right now. And you can't forget the human element in all this. Flavio Briatore is back, he's off the leash, and he's issuing ultimatums that sound more like threats from a mob boss than pep talks.
Oh, we are definitely getting to Flavio. But first, we have to address the elephant in the room. Or maybe the fake plastic car in the room.
Yes.
This segment is part of our news coverage of recent F1 events.
Right, so Alpine. We need to talk about the A526.
Or what they called the A526. Let's call it what it was. A mock-a-tazo.
A giant mock-up.
A giant, expensive mock-up. They rolled this car out, but if you looked closely, and we did, it was basically a paint job on a dummy. But why do they do this?
Well,
Is it just paranoia? Do they really think another team is going to copy a screw from a launch photo?
it's paranoia, yeah, but it's fueled by the regulations. You have to understand, in modern F1, and especially with these 2026 rules, the floor is everything.
That's where the performance lives.
It is. The floor generates the suction that glues the car to the track. So when Alpine rolled out that car, the floor was completely flat, a flat slab of carbon fiber.
Which is not a thing.
You do not launch a car with a flat floor unless you are hiding absolutely everything. If that car went on track, it wouldn't generate downforce. It would generate laughter.
And it wasn't just the floor. The barge boards were simple. The front wing looked like a generic FIA model you'd buy in a gift shop.
And the side pods.
Oh, the side pods. They had no aerodynamic logic. It was like they asked an AI to draw a fast car and built that.
Right.
But here's where it gets interesting and where the deep dive really starts. While they were showing us a toy in the studio, the real weapon was spotted at a shakedown at Silverstone.
That's where we saw the truth. The grainy spy footage from Silverstone, it tells a completely different story. The real Alpine features what people are calling a bazooka, or a baguette-style engine cover.
Okay, let's unpack that. Baguette engine cover. It sounds ridiculous. What does that actually do for performance?
It's all about the war between cooling and aerodynamics. These new 2026 engines are hot. I mean, extremely hot.
Right, because we lost the MGUH.
Exactly. But the electrical reliance is massive. The baguette shape is this bulky, elongated cover that runs along the spine of the car. It lets them channel hot air out the back without widening the side pods too much.
So it's all about keeping the waistline snatched.
That's it, exactly. It keeps the waist of the car narrow for clean airflow to the rear wing and diffuser while housing the massive intercoolers and radiators up high and down the center line.
So it's a trade-off.
It is. It raises the center of gravity slightly, which is bad, but the aerodynamic gain from having those skinny side pods is apparently worth it.
So the launch car looked like a box, but the Silverstone car looked like it had been vacuum sealed around the engines.
Precisely. And the packaging at the rear was incredibly tight. But the biggest giveaway was the wing.
Ah, the wing.
The launch had this basic generic wing, but the real one. It had a legitimate three-plane rear wing. That's a key change in the new regulations, Tan. Teams can run up to 3 planes or elements now.
To get more load.
To generate more load. The fact that Alpine is running it on day one shows they're being aggressive about clawing back downforce. It's a functional, aggressive piece of kit.
Right.
Completely different from the dummy they put on stage.
It just proves it. You cannot trust a single pixel you see during launch week. But you know what isn't fake?
What's that?
The fear in the driver's eyes when Flavio Briatore speaks.
Flavio is fascinating here because he represents a clash of eras, doesn't he? He's this old-school, ruthless management style that F1 has kind of lost.
He went fully scorched earth. His message was so clear. No. More. Excuses. They have the Mercedes engine now. They have a new car. The "we are preparing for 2026" excuse card has expired.
It's gone.
But does this style still work? I mean, telling Gasly and Colapinto they aren't paid to be friends.
It's a huge gamble.
Hmm.
He told them they are paid to kill each other for points.
Yeah.
He explicitly said the team boss isn't the manager. The results are the boss.
Wow.
For a veteran like Gasly, maybe he brushes it off. He survived the Red Bull grinder. But for a young talent like Colapinto, that is immense pressure.
You think?
Oh, yeah. But, Alpine needs a shock to the system. For the last year, they've been coasting on this narrative of suffering now to build for the future. Well, the future is today. Briatore is just removing the comfort zone.
That is the kind of high-octane pressure you need when you're trying to climb out of the midfield. But while Alpine is at least running their car fake launch or not, there is a team that is currently bleeding out before the battle has even started.
Oh, we have to talk about Williams.
We have to. This is a disaster. There is no sugarcoating it. There is no spin.
None.
Newsflash for anyone who missed it. Williams is skipping the first 3 days of Barcelona testing. 3 days?
In a normal season, that's bad. In a new regulation year, it's a competitive death sentence.
Death sentence.
We aren't talking about tweaking a front wing on an old car where you already know the baseline. Track time in 2026 is liquid gold. It's an entirely new car, new tires, and a completely new power unit.
So let's drill into why that matters. Why can't they just, run it on the simulator? They have state-of-the-art sims at Grove.
Because the simulator is only as good as the data you feed it. That's called correlation.
Right.
You need the real car on the real track to verify if your math is right. If Williams misses 3 days, they are missing hundreds of laps of data. While everyone else is fine-tuning their suspension, learning how the tires degrade, Williams is just guessing.
So they'll be behind from the start.
Months behind. They'll arrive at the first race months behind in understanding their own machine. It creates this spiral. You start behind, so you push updates without testing, which don't work, so you fall even further behind.
And it's just humiliating when you look at the grid. I mean, Haas made it to their shakedowns. Alpine, despite all their chaos, is running. Why is Williams stuck in the garage?
It comes down to the technical hurdle of that Mercedes power unit. We have to explain why this is so much harder than previous years.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because people hear Mercedes engine and they think it's just a plug-and-play upgrade.
Far from it.
Like putting a new battery in your remote.
Not at all. These new units, they've removed the MGUH, the heat recovery system. But to compensate, they've installed a massive MGUK, the kinetic motor, and a gigantic battery.
So the physical shape changes?
Radically. The electrical power requirement is practically triple what it was. The turbo placement is different. The cooling requirements are totally different.
Yeah, so Williams couldn't just bolt it in.
No.
Oh.
You have to completely redesign the chassis to package this beast. You have high-voltage cables that are thicker, hotter, massive cooling ducts. And Alpine had to do the same thing to switch to Mercedes, and they managed it.
Right.
The fact that Williams failed to adapt their chassis to the new engine in time, it signals a deep, deep operational problem at Grove.
It suggests their design and manufacturing loop is too slow, or it's just disconnected.
Exactly. It implies that when the engine specs arrived, the air department and the chassis department weren't talking fast enough, or their supply chain failed. It's a massive red flag.
A huge red flag.
While everyone else is gathering data, Williams is going to be sitting in the pit lane watching them drive by.
And speaking of watching people drive by, let's talk about the team that everyone is terrified of. Mercedes is back to silver.
The silver arrow returns. And aesthetically, it looks aggressive, very narrow waist, very compact. But the real story isn't the paint.
No.
It's what is happening inside that engine.
This is the rumor that is absolutely exploding right now. We're hearing whispers of a nuclear trick in the Mercedes power unit and probably the Red Bull for engine too.
And this brings us to the concept of the variable compression ratio. Now, this is highly technical, so stick with me, because if this is true, the implications for the championship are massive.
Break it down. What's the rule and how are they breaking it?
Okay, so the regulations set a strict limit on the compression ratio of the cylinders, 16 to 1.
15 to 1. Got it.
That means when the piston goes up, it squeezes the fuel-air mix to 1/16 of its volume before it explodes. Higher compression, more power.
So 16 to 1 is the hard limit.
It is. However, the FIA checks this ratio when the engine is cold. It's a static test in the garage.
Uh-huh. I see where this is going.
The rumor is that Mercedes has engineered the materials of the piston and the connecting rod so that when the engine is at optimum temperature, super hot, middle of a race, the thermal expansion of the metal actually shifts the geometry.
Wait. So The metal expands intentionally, like they calculated the exact expansion rate to make the piston travel higher?
Yes, allegedly. They designed it so the piston effectively reaches higher up the cylinder when it's hot. The forces and the heat shift everything just enough to hit a ratio of 18 to 1, maybe even higher.
That is incredible. So they passed the test in the garage at 16 to 1, but on track, when nobody can measure it, they're running 18 to 1.
Precisely. And that's a massive horsepower advantage. And you'd be talking 20, 30 horsepower just from this trick alone.
Is that legal?
It's illegal. It's in the gray zone. It complies with the test as written, but it absolutely violates the spirit of the limit.
Wow.
And if it's true, and the FIA can't police it yet, Mercedes and Red Bull might start the season with an advantage the others literally cannot copy overnight. You can't just software update a piston.
No, that's a 6-month delay at least.
At least.
That is the kind of technical dark arts I live for. It's brilliant. And it might explain their design philosophy, right? They have this huge airbox intake, but tiny, tiny side pod inlets.
It's a complete contrast to Ferrari. Ferrari has gone the opposite way. A small triangular airbox, but much larger side pod inlets. It shows two completely different ideas on how to cool these new power units.
Let's talk about Ferrari then. The SF26. From the front.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
That 80s, 90s vibe, red with black wings, it looks fast.
It does, but from the side. It's a bit of a billboard. The blue sponsors, HP, IBM, they really break up the lines.
Yeah.
But aesthetics aside, the fear around Ferrari isn't the paint. It's a concept.
Right. The terrifying rumor that they panicked and built two different car concepts, one for Lewis, one for Charles.
If that is true, it is a budget cap disaster.
Yeah.
In the cost cap era, you cannot afford to develop two parallel aero concepts. You spread your resources too thin.
But why would they do that? Just to keep Lewis happy.
Because they drive differently. Hamilton wants a strong front end. He wants the car to turn in sharply. He hates a floating rear. Leclerc can handle a loose rear. He actually prefers it to rotate the car.
So they tried to please both.
And they risk ending up with a jack-of-all-trades, master-of-none car. And Ferrari's history isn't on their side here.
Yeah.
Skepticism is at an all-time high.
But then you look at Red Bull.
Red Bull is scary.
It showed a render, yeah, but it was terrifyingly detailed. Usually renders are smooth blobs. This thing had the most aggressive front wing we've seen.
A highly complex floor, too.
Yeah.
And the packaging at the rear, the Coke bottle area, was incredibly tight. But we have to remember who we are dealing with.
Oh, absolutely. I have trust issues with Red Bull. Remember the sticker exhaust?
I do. They once put stickers on the car to look like exhaust outlets, while the real exhausts were hidden somewhere else, blowing the diffuser.
They tricked the entire paddock. So is this aggressive render real? Or is it a distraction?
I think the aggression is real, even if the specific parts aren't. We have to remember, even without Adrian Newey, this team beat McLaren last year on pure development. They know what they're doing.
And visually.
That blue livery with the Ford branding, it's arguably the best-looking car on the grid.
It does look like a winner. But speaking of Adrian Newey, he's at Aston Martin now. Are they the sleeping giants here?
They have to be. You have the greatest designer in history, a brand new wind tunnel, and an infinite budget.
Yeah.
Aston Martin has all the ingredients. If they hit the ground running, they could disrupt everything.
And then there's Audi, the dark horse.
Audi doesn't enter racing to lose. They won Le Mans. They won Dakar. They spent 2 years prepping in the shadows. While everyone else is fighting the current war, Audi has been simulating the 2026 war. Do not underestimate them.
It's incredible. The board is set, but the pieces are already moving in ways we didn't expect. The mock-ups are done. Barcelona's days away. Williams is already bleeding out.
Alpine is under threat from their own management.
And Mercedes might have broken the engine regulations before the first light even goes out.
It feels like the stakes have never been higher.
Yeah.
Every decision made right now will define the next 5 years of the sport.
So what does this all mean for us? Here's the provocative question I want you to chew on. With Mercedes and Red Bull potentially exploiting a massive engine loophole, and Williams already missing the start gun, is the 2026 championship already decided in the engineering room before a single wheel turns in anger?
It's a chilling thought. In a formula, this complex reliability and engineering genius often outweigh pure driving talent in the first year. We might be watching a championship of engineers, not drivers.
And that is exactly why you cannot take your eyes off this sport for a second. Don't miss a single update from the War Zone. Follow DRS Zone right now on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. We are just getting started.
The real show is about to begin.
See you in the next deep dive.